Ursus SA was a Polish agricultural machinery manufacturer headquartered in Lublin, Poland. The company was founded in Warsaw in 1893 and holds a prominent place in Polish tractor production history. It has also carried out some production of trolleybuses in a joint venture with Ukrainian manufacturer Bogdan and manufactures buses, coaches, and trolleybuses in a joint venture with Polish manufacturer AMZ Kutno under the name Ursus Bus. And for those of you that don't know, the name Ursus actually means bear in Latin. So they would be commonly referred to as the bear tractor. Good evening, everybody. Good morning, whatever time of the day it is you're watching this video, and you're very welcome back to the channel, and a very happy and healthy 2025 to everybody watching, and to all our new subscribers and all our regular subscribers. Indeed, thank you very much. You're all very welcome to the channel. And indeed, if you are watching in Poland, where Ursus tractors are made, dzień dobry or dobranoc, jak się masz? Yes, I do know a small bit of Polish. I have spent quite a bit of time in Poland over the years with my research into World War II and visiting famous sites, and it is a country that I have very, very fond memories of. So I'm going to jump straight into the history of the Ursus tractor. We're not going to beat around the bush. So looking at the history, so the Ursus factory was founded in 1893 on 15 Siena Street, Warsaw, by 3 engineers and 4 businessmen. It was first named the Company of a Special Factory of Fixtures, later with an addition and motors. It began producing valves and pumps, intended first for use in Tsar's Russian market, as Poland had been partitioned by that time and most of its territory was annexed by Russia. In 1902, the factory started producing internal combustion engines. They were first patterned upon a 5-horsepower Bollinger engine with horizontal cylinder. In 1910, a new, bigger engine factory was built in Wola village in Skierniewice Street, currently in Warsaw. The factory specialized in stationary and transportable engines for industrial and agricultural use, with power up to 80 horsepower. By World War I, something around 6,000 different engines were being produced, including 600 horsepower marine engines. Originally, the factory used the trademark PZP, which means Pozag 7 Panien, or Dairy of 7 Maidens, namely the daughters of the factory's founders, who donated their dairies for the initial capital. In 1903, and some sources claim it was actually 1907, when the factory began to produce internal combustion engines, the word Ursus was added to the logo, inspired by the character from a novel, the novel Quo Vadis. During World War I, in 1915, the Russians took away part of the factory equipment. After the war, independent Poland was looted. Main export market was lost due to the Bolshevik Revolution, and the company had no funds to modernize its production. In 1920, it was reorganized as a public share company. It also started to repair Polish army trucks. From 1922, the company built a limited number of its first and only interwar agricultural tractor based upon the International Harvester Titan model. In 1922, it also changed its name to the Ursus Mechanical Works. In connection with plans to produce a truck chosen by the Polish army, the company received a credit, and in 1942 built a new factory in Czechowice. So that wouldn't be too far from Katowice on the Czech Republic border. So this was later named Ursus and included into Warsaw. The factory was, however, oversized compared with others, and in addition, there appeared delays with its readiness. From 1928, the factory started to manufacture Ursus A truck by the license of Italian SPA 25C, being the first truck produced in Poland. And as ever, a little call to action. So if you are familiar with Ursus, if you've driven Ursus, if you've owned them, I know there are quite a lot of them around Ireland, especially. I'm not sure about the UK and other markets. Obviously, there's a lot of them in Poland. If you're watching from Poland, or indeed anywhere in the world, and you have driven or worked on or worked for Ursus, worked for the company, worked on the tractors, owned them or driven them, I'd love to hear from you at what models. Now, we're not just talking about the Zetor models that would have been, I suppose, very popular here in Ireland, the Zetor style models, but all the models. And I know there was a dealer network set up here, you know, on into the 2000s. There was, when they were trying to revive the Ursus name for quite a while. There was there was a lot of Ursus dealers and there was a lot of them sold around the country. So yeah, call to action. Drop a comment into the comment section, and our readers or viewers would love to hear from you, as would I. So in 1930, the Ursus factory fell on hard times due to the world financial crisis and was nationalised under the National Engineering Works, the Polish manufacturer of arms and vehicles. It then began producing military tractors, tanks, and other heavy machinery for troops. During the German occupation of Poland in World War II, the factory was controlled by FAMO and produced Panzer II, Marder II, and Vespa AFVs. After the war, the Ursus factory started producing the Ursus C45, a copy of the German pre-war Land Bulldog tractor. During the 1950s, the Ursus factory began producing tractors using a Zetor-based design. By 1961, there was a growing need for tractors in Poland, but the tractors produced by the Ursus factory did not meet the needs of Polish agriculture. A bilateral agreement was created between Poland and Czechoslovakia, where Czechoslovakia would provide the Ursus factory with the parts necessary to enlarge and modernize the factory, and in exchange, Poland would supply Czechoslovak factories with raw materials. The goal was to construct a joint tractor industry where Poland and Czechoslovakia will combine to produce 120,000 tractors per year. As of 1963, though, Poland was only producing 15,000. And as with a lot of my other videos, this video is a history video on the company that was Ursus, was Ursus. I'm not talking too much about individual, models in detail. I will have another video dealing with a lot of the different models, where you could find them and what they were used for. But this video is more geared towards the history of the Ursus company itself. So, looking into solidarity, so workers of the Ursus tractor factory played a large part in the solidarity movement in the 1970s and 80s. On the 25th of June 1976, in response to the rise in food prices, the workers of Ursus, acting in solidarity with workers in Radom and other areas, went on strike and blocked and destroyed parts of the main east-west and north-south rail lines leaving Warsaw. This is one of the largest and disruptive strikes that occurred that day, and resulted in the Prime Minister announcing on television the withdrawal of food price increases. In 1980, workers of the Ursus factory went on strike and spent the night at the factory to protest the detention of Jan Narawiak, a volunteer printer worker at the Warsaw chapter of Solidarity. Also in 1980, 16,000 workers threatened to stop coming to work on Saturdays in order to self-enforce a 5-day work week proclaimed by the Solidarity movement. In 1988, 200 workers in the Ursus factory occupied the plant canteen and demanded that the management petition to increase wages and release the imprisoned workers, and the legalization of Solidarity and the Independent Students Association. The Ursus factory was the focus of an extensive investment initiative in the 1970s under Edward Gierek. Under this program, large loans were taken from Western banks for the purpose of importing modern equipment and methods that would cause expansion of Polish industry and growth of the Polish economy. In 1977, a $7.9 million export-import bank loan and a $7 million loan from private American banks were granted to the Ursus factory for the purpose of purchasing machine tools from Ingersoll Rand, the machinery company of Rockford, Illinois, and Gleason Works in Rochester, New York. However, such investment programs became inefficient and failed, leaving Poland with an immense debt. By 1980, $25 billion were locked into inefficient, unfinished projects in Polish industry that were speculated to require an additional $50 billion to complete. The Ursus tractor factory was one of the largest victims of this problem. By 1981, equipment that had been purchased in the West at the Ursus factory amounted to 360 million zloty. Warehouse space at Ursus was filled with unused, unnecessary supplies such as 1.6 million rarely used screws, and since construction and a new warehouse space had stopped, other supplies were left to deteriorate outside. Gierek had invested nearly $1 billion in the project of developing a modern Massey Ferguson model of tractor at Ursus. However, due to licensing problems, these tractors could not be sold in the Western Bloc during the Cold War for political reasons, and in the Eastern Bloc, neither, because they were too expensive. Instead of the targeted production of 75,000 tractors per year, only 500 were made. So taking a look at recent history, so the Ursus tractor production declined throughout the 1990s, falling from 60,000 tractors per year in 1980 to about 16,000 tractors in 1995. The decline in production was due to enormous debt that Ursus had contracted as a result of its expansion program in the 1980s. The need to repay the debt blocked access to funds needed for daily operations in the factory. In 1996, 550 million zloty, 80% of Ursus debt, owed to nearly 700 creditors, was written off. Tractor sales continued to decline to an all-time low of 1,578 units in 2006. The Ursus company was established in the years 1998 to 2003 as a consequence of restructuring and cooperation of BHZ Bumar Limited, ZPC, Ursus SA, and the Ursus Tractor Factory Limited. Burma became the main shareholder of the Ursus company, leading to Ursus becoming part of the Bumar Industrial Group, which is marketing Ursus products both on foreign and domestic markets. In 2007, Uzal Holdings of Turkey announced they were buying 51% Ursus. Both Uzal and Ursus were, are licensees of AGCO's Massey Ferguson. In 2008, it was announced that Uzal had not kept up to its commitments, and TAF and Polmat were interested in buying. In 2011, Polmat bought the Ursus company from Bumar Limited. Recently, the company is expanding its business in Central Europe and other countries, as well as planning to produce electric buses. In 2013, a joint venture between Ursus and the Ukrainian company Bogdan received an order for 38 trolleybuses for the Lublin, Poland trolleybus system. The body and chassis shells were completed by Bogdan and shipped to the Ursus plant in Lublin, where Ursus would install the axles, electrical propulsion equipment supplied by Gerlach, seats and other fittings to complete the vehicles. The first of these 38 Urbus Bogdan trolleybuses, officially designated as model Ursus T70116, was delivered in mid-2013 and the last in mid-2015. Ursus signed an agreement worth 10 million in 2014 to deliver 3,000 tractors to Ethiopia. Attempts to restructure the ailing Polish company have failed, and the largest tractor and farm machinery manufacturer in the country has been declared bankrupt. The company is struggling with financial problems and generating large losses for years. At the back end of 2019, announced plans to sell 2 of its production sites as part of a major restructuring program. One of these sites, I believe, was acquired by the mixer wagon. I think they're a Dutch mixer wagon company, Triolet. Despite winning contracts to supply tractors to Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Zambia, the debt-stricken company, which made the electric buses, ended up with millions in debt as a result of this restructuring. And it really is amazing to see how things can change in the tractor business. Ursus had a sizable stand 7 years ago at the 2017 Agritechnica, where it surprised visitors with a couple of stylishly finished versions of its 150 horsepower global tractor. There was even a hint of a CVT, and the company was actively seeking a UK importer. I think these had a ZF back end and a Diet engine, as far as I believe. The bankruptcy ends a 125-year history of the Polish tractor maker, which is believed to have supplied most of half of the 1.5 million tractors currently used in the country. The sale took place at the third attempt, the price having dropped from 29 million to 17 million. It included the company Ursus SA with its registered office in Warsaw and 2 production plants, one in Dobre Mistrzo and the other in Lublin. The company that bought it, MI Crow of Poland, which established both itself and its office in Warsaw as recently as July of last year. Little is known about the company other than it lists its activities as including aerospace products and parts manufacturing, as well as steel fabrication. Now, I do know from a little bit of research that I've done that this company is supplying both the Ukrainian and the Russians with armaments and aerospace products for the war, and the guys that are over the company are a little bit shady. Now, they do promise that they will be, they have stated, they're on record saying that they are going to put, Ursus tractors back into production. But I doubt it very much that that will ever happen. The way things look at the minute, I think that they just bought these factories at a knockdown price. They bought the company at a knockdown price, and there's probably more profit to be made out of war supplying both sides at the minute than there is in producing tractors for the world market. So that's it. That's where I'm going to leave it. An interesting history, tough history. I suppose any company that was founded 125 odd years ago in Poland would have went through a lot of political and geopolitical issues, I suppose, throughout its years, with World War One and World War Two and political, upheaval, especially when the Russians are involved. What was never going to be easy for them to, establish a real foothold, the likes of which we've seen from other European companies like Dietz and, Fendt and the likes of them. It's always going to be tough when you're in Eastern Bloc country, and you've got control from the Soviets. So, look, that's it. I will be back with another Ursus video in the future, talking about the different models. I know that's more probably what people want to hear about, different models, where they were used. If you have one, if you've seen one, if you've driven one, if you've owned one, I know there were a lot of them around Ireland, especially the Zeta model ones, the crystal type ones. There are a lot of them around Ireland, and there are still a lot of them in Ireland as well. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I will be back next week with another huge European manufacturer, one of the largest, most prestigious tractor manufacturers in the world. Germany made, I think most people can probably guess it at this stage, is one that I've been putting together now for a good while. So, I'm sorry about the sound. I have a little bit of a cold. I'm just kind of on the back of a flu, so I'm just getting over that. So the voice is not the best. But we got through it. Thanks a million to everyone for watching, and I will see everybody next week.